Hey, what's up? Hello, I am Jillian. I've been wanting to make this video for so long, and I'm so sorry that it took me so long to make this video. Something that I've never really talked about on my channel before is that I'm a huge Swiftie, so I was like front row to this scandal. A lot of my mutuals were talking about it on Twitter as it was happening, and I was watching it unfold in real time. It's kind of cold tea by now, but I'm always down for a little iced tea. Shout out to two of my moots on Twitter though. By the way, I couldn't have put together this video without you. To make a very long story short, I couldn't really put together this video when it was happening in real time. I went to the Eras Tour twice in November, and this was all happening like 2 days before my first show in Indy. And then after that show, I got right into hand making my dress for the Toronto show, which was 2 weeks later. I actually posted a TikTok of me making that dress, by the way, and it got over 600,000 views, which was a little insane, by the way. And then I had a little bit of like post-Eras depression, and then it was the holidays. And then I got sick like 3 times in like 8 weeks. I've had this video ready to film for like 3.5 weeks, but then I lost my voice because of COVID. So I'm sorry if you can still tell in my voice that I'm a little sick and congested. But I just couldn't wait any longer to film this video, you know? Anyways, this story covers 2 things that I absolutely love to talk about, which are scammers and Taylor Swift. So this is absolutely perfect for me to cover. So let's get into it. So at the end of October, Taylor Swift brought the Eras Tour back to the US for a final 3 stops and then ended it in Canada. 1 stop in Miami, 1 in New Orleans, and 1 in Indianapolis. This story revolves around the concerts in New Orleans. Of course, with the biggest pop star of our generation comes some of the most interesting scams I've ever seen. By the way, if you want me to do a video about some of the most ridiculous Swiftie scams I've ever seen, I can do that. Now, these specific concerts were announced so far in advance that hotels were not even booking that far into the future yet. So in comes Rebecca Fox, a New Orleans area local. Side note, if I lived that close to a stadium, I personally would not worry about like even booking a hotel room. I do live about an hour outside of Chicago, and I drive to all my concerts and come home afterwards. I'm really not sure why she was so worried about hotel rooms if she lives so close to the stadium, unless of course if she saw this as a money-making opportunity from the beginning. Rebecca immediately contacts and makes a deal with the Holiday Inn downtown for a block of 191 rooms at almost $500 each. And oh my god, that's expensive for a hotel room. She started calling this little Eras convention Holiday House after Taylor Swift's Rhode Island house of the same name that she writes about in her song The Last Great American Dynasty, which also happens to center a woman named Rebecca. News reports say she did not upcharge for the hotel rooms, but she did charge a $25 deposit fee to plan her Eras convention, which ended up as what I can only imagine as similar to the Glasgow Willy Wonka experience. Holiday House promised Swifties a weekend full of pool parties, scavenger hunts, themed breakfasts, and talent shows, and news reports said that around 1,200 Swifties attended these events, but it was quickly clear that expectations were not meeting up to reality. One article described an empty ballroom with 3 vendors, and a quote from someone who said, "I asked the vendors if we were in the right place, and they said, we have no idea," and that the DJ who was booked was never confirmed for their performance or paid their deposit despite reaching out multiple times. Now, I'm going to be putting up a lot of screenshots and not reading through all of them, so pause if you want to read through any of them. All of the drama about this event went down in a few Facebook groups, which I was not in, but screenshots were shared widely on Twitter afterwards. So there was no contract to book a room at this event. I guess you just like filled out a Google Doc to book a room. And also there was a $100 restock fee that you paid to Rebecca's personal Venmo account, which was later raised to $300 in the month before the concert. But of course, if you went through the hotel directly to cancel your room, then you didn't have to pay this fee. But if you talked to the hotel directly, Rebecca was very rude about it. Rebecca would get very angry and defensive anytime someone would post a Taylor-themed event in New Orleans that wasn't involved with her little convention, and posted a long rant basically scolding people for sharing and being excited over these events around the city. She emphasized that this event had been planned for 14 months ahead of time, and that they were giving away thousands in prizes and collectibles and signed items and even tickets. One of these prizes, by the way, was this guitar signed by Taylor Swift herself. No, yeah, it's not. This is a signed CD art card that was cut up and glued onto a guitar. This is worth like maybe $50. I have multiple signatures that look just like that. But people were not happy that Rebecca was charging so much goddamn money for these events. And this made Rebecca irate, and she went on a long rant that ended with, "If we're going to be billing people at cost, I cannot wait to be billing people like you for wasting my time." Some of the catastrophic events of the weekend included a $150 brunch, which looked like a standard hotel breakfast, a $50 pool party at the hotel's free pool, a $55 buffet breakfast that was supposed to come with a goodie bag, but those were only for hotel guests, a dance party with no DJ, and even when Rebecca's events were sold out, she got angry that people were posting alternative events in the group. This post in the group says, "Do you want to post stuff to do in New Orleans? Or restaurants? Great. Do you want to come in here and take all the hard work I've done and then slap it in the face by posting competing events? You will be blocked and banned from this group. I don't even care anymore." Now, some people feel bad for Rebecca. They feel like maybe she got in over her head with planning this whole convention. She signed contracts for very large sums of money with this hotel. She was managing around $88,000 of other people's money at some point, which I can understand would be very overwhelming. But here's where I believe her intentions become very clear. If you wanted to cancel your room and you no longer wanted to stay there, you had to sell back your Eras Tour tickets in order to get a refund on your room. Eras Tour tickets were like the hottest commodity of 2023 and 2024. Like, they sold for thousands of dollars each on the resale market. So for people who wanted to back out of their rooming arrangements, they had to choose either to lose $500 a night that they paid for their rooms, which I'm sure Rebecca just would have resold to somebody else, or sell their Eras Tour tickets, which is the whole reason that they were going to New Orleans in the first place. Rebecca also started a petition to get herself the 22 hat, which, if you aren't aware, during the song 22 on the Eras Tour, Taylor gives out the hat that she's wearing to someone. That person is almost always a child. Aside from like a few dates in the beginning of the tour, it's always been a child. And sometimes it's even a child with cancer. When a mother of a child who had survived cancer asked in the group to support her kid trying to get the 22 hat, Rebecca made this really insensitive comment in a group chat. Again, I just think this shows her intentions regarding this whole convention. She wanted notoriety and praise, and she wanted recognition from Taylor or Taylor Nation for planning and executing this Eras convention. Let's just say the response from those in the Facebook group was fiery. Even the DJ, who was never confirmed for the dance party or the pool party, got in on some of the action. A post was shared a few days before the concerts about her being a little short. She claims she's already spent around $20,000 out of pocket for this event, and she's wanting to make everything extra special and basically like begging for donations. One example of concerns people had is that Rebecca claims that the breakfast at midnight event cost way more than initially quoted at around $6,650, and 170 guests showed up. She claims to have charged $35 and have lost money on that event, but then other Others commented on that post and said, why did I pay $45 a ticket then? Why did I pay $55 a ticket then? Multiple guests claim that this event was $45 for hotel members and $55 for non-hotel members. One commenter pointed out that 170 tickets at $45 a ticket is $7,650, so she profited by at least $1,000 on this event, allegedly. And then there's also a flyer that specifies the $45 and $55 price tags. Not even just the price points, but this breakfast and the Bejeweled brunch, which cost over $100 a ticket, were both just standard hotel breakfasts with some added cupcakes. Again, she charged different amounts for parking for members and non-members and event attendees and non-attendees, so she likely pocketed all that extra money, allegedly. The pool party was supposed to have a DJ, but there wasn't one, so it was just kind of people sitting around a free hotel pool with a balloon arch. Rebecca gets angry and calls people petty for asking for $30 back. But like, if you get scammed out of $30, like you pay $30 for something and it doesn't live up to the expectations, you should be able to get your money back. Like, we're not all made of money like you, Rebecca. Hell, I made a whole video about being scammed out of $40 like a few years ago. Rebecca also registered this event, this business, as an LLC, but missed an annual report or something, which like put her in bad standing or something. I don't know, I'm like not a business person, like somebody else is gonna have to explain that part. Another concern is that people were told that a portion of their money for these ridiculously priced tickets was being donated to charity, but we never see any kinds of charity receipts, so people were demanding receipts of all kinds. There were many comments about events not living up to the hype, being boring, unorganized, not knowing where events were taking place. One comment in particular I liked about the goodie bags. Apparently these were a very big deal. There was a group of people putting together goodie bags, I'm assuming volunteers, and when some guests picked some up, assuming they were for the event that was taking place where the goodie bags were being made, makes sense to me. They were very rudely yelled at by those assembling the bags. "No, those are not for you," shouted repeatedly. It was also discovered that Rebecca advertised some events as having ticket giveaways as prizes, but those events usually needed to reach a minimum number of participants, and they usually didn't. So why didn't she like advertise them more? Say like, hey, we need 5 more people for this event to be able to give away Eras tickets. Instead of just like holding the event knowing that she wouldn't be able to give out tickets like she promised and like people were expecting. A potential vendor said that Rebecca wanted $450 to set up a table to sell her pins, and that apparently is an outrageous fee that should warrant around like 250,000 people at an event, and we know that's not even remotely close to the number of people that attended these events. During a live stream, Rebecca claimed that a permit for a second line parade would cost her $20,000. It didn't. It cost her $300.75. She was referencing the cost for a whole parade at Mardi Gras. And she also lied on the permit, saying that she wouldn't charge for admission, and then she charged $35 for tickets. And then she got pissy with somebody asking, how are you going to stop people from joining in on a parade on a public street? Now, Rebecca offered an all-inclusive bundle for all of the weekend's shitty events, excluding some of them, of course, which included VIP treatment and specialty cocktails and reserved seating. You are never going to guess how much this was. $1,000 for hotel guests and $1,250 for non-hotel guests. For a dance party without a DJ and a free hotel pool party and standard hotel breakfasts. Like, I cannot believe this woman. Another portion of the story is that there's a girl on TikTok. Shout out to her, by the way. Her username is Jump4JS. She made a series on TikTok chronicling trying to get her name changed on the hotel room in the hotel block for a friend of hers because she could no longer attend the concert, which is kind of scary when the entire city is booked solid for the weekend. She shows her initial messages with Rebecca, showing that she messaged her like a couple of times, like a couple days apart, like a normal person. And Rebecca messaged her back like, your emergency is not my emergency. Julia was a little snarky in response, and it escalated from there. In a conversation with somebody else, Rebecca basically admits to being mean to her and like 10% of other people in the group for reasons, and basically because Julia was like a tiny bit snarky to her. So then Julia went on and exposed the entire weekend's events on TikTok. Julia also obtained messages from the DJ that Rebecca tried booking and then never paid for and ghosted, and then posted those messages in a TikTok, which, by the way, Rebecca claims that she booked a DJ and they canceled on her, when really she ghosted the DJ, so she knew all along that there wouldn't be a DJ there. And the DJ actually confronts her and says, why did you tell everyone that I canceled on you? One more serious allegation is that Rebecca was very ableist to a guest, and we don't like to hear that over here. This guest uses an electric wheelchair and was asking Rebecca if these events would be wheelchair accessible. And Rebecca snapped and said, I feel like nothing I do is good enough for you. And then later on in the weekend, this person's wheelchair like cannot get wet because it's electric, and it was like maybe gonna rain or something. So they asked in the entire group if they could get a ride to the hotel, and Rebecca came for this person specifically and said like, you booked this hotel room because it was so close to the stadium and now you're asking for a ride. And this person was like, I posted this in the entire group, like I didn't single you out and ask you to solve my problems. So basically Rebecca is just like making herself out to be the victim in this scenario. So after this dumpster fire of an event, Rebecca then posted a response for those who were asking for refunds, and basically it doesn't say much except for like, boo-hoo, poor me, I'm just a girl with a spreadsheet. She says she wants to go live later that day to address people's concerns, but then a couple of hours later she says, never mind, I'm too tired. I really liked this comment that says, I guess going to all 3 shows wasn't a good idea. Rebecca makes herself out to seem like a major victim in some messages with some people. She says, I know it was bad, but I survived Holiday House, seems much. There wasn't fecal matter overflowing or flooding or a storm or a safety issue. The elevators didn't break, etc. People didn't have a DJ or a cash bar. So people were not happy at this point that she was responding to messages, but she was not addressing concerns in the group. Rebecca finally makes a post saying that the hotel overcharged her $17,000, which took her operating budget. Some other really big things that happened that nobody knows about. And says, please, dear God, please stop filing disputes on my PayPal. You're going to get it shut down. Also, I find this part very interesting. In this statement, she calls this the very first Swiftie gathering, which is just like blatantly untrue. Swifties have been gathering for ages for all kinds of things. She says, I wanted so badly to make the first ever Swiftie gathering a success. I still believe in the idea. I still believe in the concept, and it breaks my heart that someone else is going to get to be the first person to pull it off, even though in the end of the day it doesn't really matter who gets the recognition for it, just that it happens. But I really wanted to leave some sort of mark on this community. You can just tell that she wanted the recognition for holding this era's convention, that she didn't care who she hurt in the process. Some people were swayed by this statement and came around to her side of events, while some commenters called out her self-victimization, her willingness to leave others to deal with her mess while she went and enjoyed all 3 nights of the concerts, and reminded her how she'd been saying that she was planning this event for 14 months. Rebecca then confirmed in a comment that no, she does not have the $50,000 that it would take to pay everyone back and start refunding people for these events, and she in fact did spend every penny that she was paid. A couple of days go by at this point where she's promising to show receipts, and she doesn't, and people get extremely sick of it. At this point, a bunch of other people who are not involved in the event at all have joined the group to get the tea. And Rebecca claims that she needs a private group now for only hotel members and event members, even though you know everything would just get screenshotted and shared anyways. A Reddit thread has started to speculate about how much money was really generated by this convention. And remember, most of these numbers are estimates and speculations, but the total comes out to $163,000, which does not include any direct donations towards her. It's also speculated that she charged around double for an entire suite's tickets to one night of the show and made around $40,000 from that alone. She also at one point said she had over 40 Eras Tour tickets, but only gave away 8 as prizes. So she likely made a pretty penny on those too, as those easily sell for thousands of dollars each. At this point, Rebecca retained an attorney to navigate the disputes over refunds and alleged misrepresentations, and at first used the excuse that her lawyer was out of the country and wanted to wait until he returned to make a statement. But as of now, she has not made any other statements, and multiple news articles have been published about the situation. I really liked the way that this Betches article frames the event. Rebecca was interviewed by People magazine, attempting to get the 22 hat, and probably desperately hoping to meet her idol out of this. That's not malicious intent, but it's not as selfless as she perhaps portrayed it to be. Well, that was a lot. What do you think about this story? Do you think Rebecca intentionally scammed people, or do you think she just got in way over her head with this whole event? Does Rebecca owe you money? Tell me in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. It's free and it really helps me out. And I will catch you in the next one. Okay, bye!
No, 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 no.